When Shu Kai suddenly boarded a flight to Tokyo in the middle of the night, no one could have predicted the storm it would unleash online. Fans, media outlets, and even casual bystanders were left reeling as photos and videos began flooding the internet. What started as a quiet airport sighting turned into a whirlwind of speculation, and the central question on everyone's lips was simple yet electrifying. Was Tan Songyun already waiting for him in Japan? The scene at the airport that night was unusually quiet. There were no official schedules released, no announcements from Shu Kai's studio, and not a single clue on his personal social media. Dressed in a simple black hoodie, baseball cap pulled low, and carrying only a backpack, Shu Kai slipped through the departure hall like a man with a secret mission. But as much as he tried to blend in, a few eagle-eyed fans caught the familiar curve of his jaw, the sharp outline of his nose, and the distinct way he carried himself. The whispers began instantly. Where was Shu Kai going, and why so suddenly? The plot thickened when someone captured a blurry but undeniable image of his ticket, Tokyo, Japan. Within minutes, fan forums exploded. A midnight flight. No managers in sight. And why Tokyo, of all places? That was when the second piece of the puzzle dropped like a bombshell. Just a day earlier, Tan Songyun had uploaded a photo on her private fan group, a picture of cherry blossoms, their delicate pink petals illuminated by neon lights in the background. Fans who were familiar with Tokyo's spring spots recognized the exact location. "That's definitely Nakameguro," one fan commented, setting off a firestorm. If Tan Songyun was already in Japan, could Shu Kai's trip be more than just a coincidence? The idea of a secret meeting gripped fans immediately. Suddenly, everyone was combing through past interviews, live broadcasts, and even behind-the-scenes clips of their dramas together. Shu Kai had once casually mentioned in a variety show that he always wanted to see the cherry blossoms in Japan but never had the chance. Months later, Tan Songyun had smiled mysteriously in another interview when asked who she would like to travel with one day. "Someone who appreciates the little things," she said, laughing softly. Fans now connected the dots in ways that felt impossible to ignore. Tokyo itself added fuel to the fire. The city has always been a haven for celebrities seeking to escape the relentless spotlight of Chinese paparazzi. Many stars slip away there for quiet vacations, hidden dinners, or even just late-night walks without bodyguards trailing behind. If Shu Kai and Tan Songyun wanted privacy, Japan would be the perfect place. And yet, the very secrecy of their trips made the situation all the more tantalizing for fans worldwide. On the morning after Shu Kai's flight, social media platforms were ablaze. Hashtags like #ShuKaiJapanTrip and #TanSongyun Cherry Blossoms trended simultaneously, with fans creating wild theories. Some insisted the two were simply good friends reconnecting abroad. Others, however, were convinced this was the beginning of something deeper, something romantic that had been brewing quietly under the surface for years. Theories were further fueled when fans noticed subtle coincidences. Shu Kai was spotted at a boutique coffee shop in Shibuya, his tall frame impossible to miss despite his cap and mask. A few hours later, Tan Songyun was photographed walking down the same street, holding a small takeaway coffee cup with the logo from the very same cafe. Was it a coincidence? Or had they gone there together but entered separately to avoid attention? Then came the most mind-blowing scene yet. A fan claimed to have seen them both at a traditional Japanese inn just outside of Tokyo. The witness described Shu Kai walking ahead, his stride quick, as though he wanted to disappear into the night. Just a few steps behind, Tan Songyun followed, her long coat trailing like a whisper in the wind. Though no photos were taken, the fan said she froze in shock, the mere story of it spread like wildfire. Online, imaginations soared. Fans recreated possible scenarios, Shu Kai rushing to meet her under a canopy of cherry blossoms, the two of them sneaking into hidden restaurants where no cameras could reach, or sitting side by side in a quiet corner of a temple, exchanging words no one else would ever hear. The romance of it all felt like the script of a movie, except this time, fans believed it was real. But what was truly fascinating was how both Shu Kai and Tan Songyun remained silent. No denials, no confirmations, not even vague studio statements to calm the storm. That silence only added to the suspense, leaving fans to write their own narratives. Was their quietness a shield to protect something delicate? Or was it a subtle acknowledgement that sometimes, silence speaks louder than words? The media, of course, jumped in with full force. Headlines screamed of a secret rendezvous, while commentators debated whether stars should be allowed such private escapes without public scrutiny. Some argued that Shu Kai and Tan Songyun had every right to live freely, away from the eyes of fans. Others insisted that by staying silent, they were encouraging speculation, knowingly or unknowingly feeding the frenzy. And yet, perhaps what made this story so powerful was not the hard facts, but the mystery. The image of Shu Kai boarding that midnight flight. The photo of cherry blossoms from Tan Songyun's perspective. The coffee shop sightings, the whispered-in encounter, the shared silence. Each clue was like a brushstroke in a painting, leaving fans to step back and see the picture as a whole. Could it be possible that Shu Kai, at the height of his career, chose to risk public suspicion just to see Tan Songyun? Could it be that Tan Songyun, ever private and graceful, had been waiting for him in a foreign city, far away from the chaos of fame? Fans certainly think so. They filled comment sections with poetic words, some writing heartfelt letters imagining the two finally finding happiness together, others piecing together timelines that made their theory all but undeniable. This is their story, one fan wrote, hidden between airports and cherry blossoms, told only through shadows and silence. As the days passed, the frenzy didn't die down. Instead, it grew stronger, with people speculating on where they might go next. Would they attend an art exhibition together, disguised in masks and caps? Would they take a quiet train ride to Kyoto, watching the world blur past while holding hands under the table? The possibilities seemed endless, and every fan wanted to believe in the romance. Some even suggested that perhaps the two weren't hiding at all. That maybe, just maybe, this was their subtle way of letting the world know without ever saying it outright. After all, Shu Kai and Tan Songyun had always shared a unique chemistry on screen, the kind that felt almost too natural to be acting. For years, fans had whispered that their smiles lingered too long, their glances carried too much weight. Could Japan finally be the place where real life melted into real life? What no one could deny was that this sudden trip had changed everything. Shu Kai was no longer just an actor on a secret flight, and Tan Songyun was no longer just an actress posting a pretty picture. Together, intentionally or not, they had sparked a story that transcended borders, a story that fans would carry with them like a cherished dream. And perhaps that is where the magic lies, not in confirmations or denials, but in the space in between. In the possibility that two stars, weary of the spotlight, found a fleeting escape under cherry blossoms in Tokyo. In the idea that sometimes love doesn't need to be announced, it only needs to be lived. For now, Shu Kai and Tan Songyun remain silent. But somewhere in the streets of Japan, maybe under the falling petals or inside a hidden cafe, their story continues unseen, unheard, but deeply felt. And as fans wait, one thing is certain: this is not the end. It's only the beginning of a tale that could redefine how we see them both, not just as stars, but as two souls caught in a secret, unforgettable moment. The night was heavy with silence when Shu Kai walked into the airport. It wasn't one of those glittering celebrity appearances with flashing cameras, security escorts, and screaming fans. Instead, it felt like the opening scene of a spy movie. Midnight. The terminal nearly empty. The only sound was the hum of luggage wheels echoing across polished floors. He moved fast, head down, his black hoodie casting shadows across his face. To an ordinary passerby, he might have looked like any young man catching a late-night flight. But for those who knew him, truly knew him, Shu Kai's presence was unmistakable. His tall frame, the familiar confident stride that not even a disguise could conceal. And then it happened. A fan sitting near the check-in counter lifted her head and froze. Her phone slipped slightly in her hand before instinctively snapping a photo. In that moment, Shu Kai's attempt at anonymity shattered. The blurry image uploaded online within minutes, and like a spark hitting dry grass, the rumor ignited into a blazing fire. Shu Kai at the airport. Alone. At midnight, the captions screamed. Fans across multiple platforms began asking the same question: where is he going, and why so secretly? But the answer was more shocking than the question. Because in the corner of the photo, his ticket glowed faintly under the fluorescent light. Destination: Tokyo, Japan. The internet went wild. What is in Tokyo? Why leave without his team? Is this a hidden schedule? Some insisted it was work-related, perhaps a secret brand endorsement or filming project. Others, however, were convinced there was more, something personal. Something he didn't want the world to see. That theory grew louder when fans remembered what had happened just a day before. Songyun had posted a photo to her private fan group, cherry blossoms glowing under the night sky, captured in a way that only someone physically there could see. No generic wallpaper. No old picture. It was current. It was real. And it was Tokyo. The puzzle pieces suddenly snapped together. Songyun in Tokyo. Shukai boarding a midnight flight to Japan. And the timing was too perfect. Fans flooded forums with excitement, typing furiously, "He's going to meet her. He must be going to meet her." Meanwhile, back at the airport, Shukai's presence could no longer be ignored. Though he wore a mask and cap, his eyes gave him away. Sharp, restless, glancing from one corner to another like he was measuring every shadow. When he passed through security, a small group of fans whispered excitedly, too stunned to call out his name. Some filmed shaky videos, capturing his silhouette as he disappeared down the corridor toward the boarding gate. Those clips spread like wildfire online. The atmosphere was electric, almost feverish. For fans, it wasn't just about Shukai flying to Japan, it was about why. "Look at his backpack," one fan analyzed. "That's not a suitcase for work trips. That's for short, personal travel." "Notice his manager isn't with him," another pointed out. "This isn't official. This is personal." And then came the most goosebump-inducing theory: Songyun was already waiting. The idea lit up social media like fireworks. Fans began pulling up old interviews, hunting for clues they might have missed. In one variety show clip, Shukai had admitted, half-jokingly, "I'd like to travel with someone who makes even the ordinary feel special." Months later, Songyun had smiled mysteriously when asked about her dream travel companion, saying, "Someone who sees the beauty in small things." Now, fans were connecting the dots with an almost cinematic passion. "This isn't coincidence," they declared. "This is fate playing out in front of us." By the time Shukai's flight took off, the internet had already built an entire story around him. Headlines popped up everywhere. Shukai's secret Japan trip, hidden love story unfolding. Cherry blossoms and secrets. Is Songyun waiting in Tokyo? Shukai's midnight departure sparks romance rumors. The drama felt too real, too intense, like fans were watching the first act of a love story unfold in real time. And yet, what made the entire scene so addictive was Shukai's silence. No posts. No denials. No explanations. Just a man slipping into the night, leaving behind questions with no answers. At the departure gate, an airport staff member reportedly whispered, "He seemed nervous, like he didn't want to be recognized." Another described him as calm but determined, like he knew exactly what he was doing. That only added fuel to the fire. If this wasn't about work, if this wasn't just another trip, then what was it? Somewhere high above the clouds, Shukai sat in his seat, mask still covering half his face, staring out at the night sky. Perhaps he was imagining cherry blossoms falling softly in the Tokyo breeze. Perhaps he was thinking of the person waiting for him there. Or perhaps he was simply enjoying the silence before stepping into a city where no one could judge him, no one could follow him except the one person he wanted to see. Down on the ground, fans stayed glued to their screens, refreshing flight trackers, counting the hours until his plane would land. Messages poured in from every corner of the internet. "Please, let this be real. This is like watching a drama unfold off-screen. Cherry blossoms, midnight flights, this is poetry." For those fans, Shukai's sudden flight wasn't just about a trip. It was about hope, romance, and the thrilling possibility that two stars they admired might just be writing their own secret love story in Tokyo. And whether it was coincidence or destiny, the truth was undeniable. Shukai's midnight journey had turned an ordinary night into an unforgettable storm of mystery, whispers, and dreams. Because sometimes, it isn't the official announcements or the planned events that capture hearts. Sometimes, it's the quiet moments, a midnight flight, a hidden ticket, a photo of cherry blossoms that tell the most unforgettable stories. And Shukai's sudden trip to Japan? That was the beginning of one such story. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more unbelievable celebrity stories that keep you on the edge of your seat.